I'm going to be leading you through Read Aloud for Monday, June 8th. We're continuing Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, an African Tale. We're actually finishing up this book today, and I'm really excited that we got to share this awesome book with you all. So our teaching point for today is that readers of fantasy think about the implications of the setting, concepts of power, internal and external problems characters face, and life lessons or themes that the readers and characters can learn. So let's get started, but first we're going to recap a bit about what we read on Friday. So Manyara and Nyasha are sisters. They're both considered very beautiful. Manyara was very mean to Nyasha. She insists that she'll become the queen one day. She's jealous of Nyasha because people love and respect her for her kindness. Nyasha treats Manyara with kindness even in the face of Manyara teasing her or putting her down. Nyasha found a snake, treated it kindly, and kept it by her side as she was gardening. It helped her sing more beautifully, which was believed to help the plants grow. The king was looking for a new wife. Mufaro said that he is looking for the most worthy and the most beautiful. He wants the king to choose one of his daughters and plans to send them to the king to decide. Manyara states that she wants to go alone without Nyasha and continues to brag about how she's going to become queen. Manyara sneaks out of the village one night and into a forest. She was actually trying to get to the king ahead of her sister. She meets a small boy looking for food. Manyara is rude to him and says that he's getting in the way of a future queen. Manyara also meets an elderly woman. She tells Manyara that she's going to encounter, the elderly woman tells Manyara that she's going to encounter a grove of trees which will laugh at her. Manyara must not laugh in return. The woman tells Manyara that she will also encounter a man with his hand under his arm, and she must be kind to him. Manyara is rude to the woman. So here's some possible themes. And remember, we want to think about themes even before the end of the story. Sometimes, or oftentimes, the author will get us thinking about what a theme could be ahead of time. So here are some possible themes. Could be that kindness is what makes someone beautiful, act selflessly, not selfishly, and be humble. I'm just going to explain why I think that. So kindness makes someone beautiful. I think that because, the king is ultimately going to have to choose the most worthy. Both of the daughters are beautiful, but only one of the daughters is kind. Act selflessly, not selfishly. Manyara was acting very selfish. When she met the boy who wanted food, she said she only had enough food for herself. So she's acting very selfish, and I think that this is not going to go well for her. And to be humble, Manyara is bragging a lot about how she's going to become the queen. She doesn't even know that yet, but she's doing a whole lot of bragging. So I think that that's not going to work out for her very well. I think she's going to learn to become humble. But let's see what happens. Just going to catch us up to where we are.
Told, Manyara came to a grove of trees, and they did indeed seem to be laughing at her. I must be calm, Manyara thought. I will not be frightened. She looked up at the trees and laughed out loud. Ha! I laugh at you, trees, she shouted, and she hurried on. It was not yet dawn when Manyara heard the sound of rushing water. The river must be up ahead, she thought. The great city is just on the other side. But then, on the rise, she saw a man with his head tucked under his arm. Manyara ran past him without speaking. A queen acknowledges only those who please her, she said to herself. I will be queen. I will be queen, she chanted as she hurried on toward the city.
So we can just quickly note that Manyara didn't listen to the elderly woman's advice. She laughed back at the trees, and she did not show any kindness to this man. So that's just something for us to note. She did not listen to this advice.
Nyasha woke at the first light of dawn. As she put on her finest garments, she thought how her life might be changed forever beyond this day. I'd much prefer to live here, she admitted to herself. I'd hate to leave this village and never see my father or sing to little Nyoka again. Her thoughts were interrupted by loud shouts and a commotion from the wedding party assembled outside. Minyara was missing! Everyone bustled around, searching and calling for her. When they found her footprints on the path that led to the city, they decided to go on as planned. As the wedding party moved through the forest, brightly plumed birds darted about in the cool green shadows beneath the trees. Though anxious about her sister, Nyasha was soon filled with excitement about all there was to see. They were deep in the forest when she saw the boy standing by the side of the path. You must be hungry, she said, and handed him a yam she had brought for her lunch. The boy smiled and disappeared as quietly as he had come. Later, as they were approaching the place where the two paths crossed, the old woman appeared and silently pointed the way to the city. Nyasha thanked her and gave her a small pouch filled with sunflower seeds. The sun was...
So I'm already noticing that Nyasha behaved very differently towards the same boy and the same woman in the forest. Nyasha was kind towards both of them and gave them some food. So that was very different than the way Minyara handled both of those situations.
Was high in the sky when the party came to the grove of towering trees. Their uppermost branches seemed to bow down to Nyasha as she passed beneath them. At last, someone announced that they were near their destination. Nyasha ran ahead and topped the rise before the others could catch up with her. She stood transfixed at her first sight of the city. "Oh, my father," she called, "a great spirit must stand guard here. Just look at what lies before us. I never in all my life dreamed there could be anything so beautiful." Arm in arm, Nyasha and her father descended the hill, crossed the river, and approached the city gate. As they entered through the great doors, the air was rent by piercing cries, and Minyara ran wildly out of the chamber at the center of the enclosure. When she saw Nyasha, she fell upon her, sobbing, "Oh, do not go to the king, my sister. Oh, please, father, do not let her go," she cried hysterically. "There's a great monster there, a snake with 5 heads. He said that he knew all my faults and that I displeased him. He would have swallowed me alive if I had not run. Oh, my sister, please do not go inside that place." It frightened Nyasha to see her sister so upset, but leaving her father to comfort Minyara, she bravely made her way to the chamber and opened the door. On the seat of the great chief's stool lay a little green garden snake. Nyasha laughed with relief and joy. "My little friend," she exclaimed, "it's such a pleasure to see you. But why are you here?" "I am the king," Nyoka replied, and there, before Nyasha's eyes, the garden snake changed shape.
So I just want to point out the note that I wrote on the left here, because this was a theme that I was noticing in these last couple slides. I'm noticing that there's a reoccurring situation in the story of meeting strangers and then treating them a certain way. So Minyara met strangers and she assumed that she was better than them, and she was actually pretty rude to them. Nyasha treated strangers with kindness, however. So I'm starting to think a theme could be that we should be treating all beings, including strangers, with kindness. You never know who they might be or if you may need them someday. So like, for example, Nyasha treated the garden snake with kindness, and then that snake ended up being the king. Uh-oh, I'm so sorry.
Changed shape. "I am the king. I am also the hungry boy with whom you shared a yam in the forest, and the old woman to whom you made a gift of sunflower seeds. But you know me best as Nyoka. Because I have been all of these, I know you to be the most worthy and most beautiful daughter in the land. It would make me very happy if you would be my wife." And so it was that, a long time ago, Nyasha agreed to be married. The king's mother and sisters took Nyasha to their house, and the wedding preparations began. The best weavers in the land laid out their finest cloth for her wedding garments. Villagers from all around were invited to the celebration, and a great feast was held. Nyasha prepared the bread for the wedding feast from millet that had been brought from her village. Mufaro proclaimed to all who would hear him that he was the happiest father in all the land, for he was blessed with 2 beautiful and worthy daughters, Nyasha, the queen, and Minyara, a servant in the queen's household.
So as we can see at the end, the kindness was rewarded. And so I'm starting to think some life lessons that the book might be trying to teach us is that what goes around comes around. Also to not put people down for something because you might be in that position one day. And I'm saying that because Minyara kept insisting that Nyasha was going to be her servant, and then she ended up being the servant. So that's why I think those are some life lessons that we could learn. You might think of your own life lesson that this book is teaching, and that's what I'm going to want you to think about and write about in your short response. What life lesson is this read aloud teaching you? Is Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters teaching you? Can't wait to see what you write. Thanks for joining me today. Bye, 5th graders.